Welcome back. Today we navigate the U.S. mission to rescue its pilots from Iran. Despite saving its pilot, Washington paid a steep price and revealed risks of deeper escalation. For nearly 2 days, somewhere in the mountains south of Isfahan in Iran, a U.S. weapons officer was missing. Around him, a complex rescue operation unfolded under fire, with helicopters landing on makeshift runways and aircraft taking heavy losses. When the dust settled, the U.S. had recovered its man, but at a cost that may reshape its entire approach to Iran. Isfahan, or There and Back Again. On April 3rd, a U.S. F-15E Strike Eagle fighter jet was shot down over Iran by a surface-to-air missile defense system. Both crew members successfully ejected. The pilot was rescued a few hours later, but it took nearly 2 days to locate the weapons system officer. Finally, on Sunday, April 5th, U.S. President Donald Trump announced his successful rescue. According to the official narrative, the fighter jet crashed about 20 kilometers south of Isfahan, Iran's third-largest city. A rescue operation was launched to evacuate the second crew member. 2 MC-130J Commando II transport aircraft carrying special forces and 4 MH-6M Little Bird helicopters landed at an abandoned agricultural airstrip approximately 25 kilometers south of the crash site. The MH-6M Little Bird is a lightweight, egg-shaped helicopter, a descendant of the Hughes OH-6 Cayuse, widely used during the Vietnam War and familiar to many people from the movie Apocalypse Now. The ejected pilot took refuge in the mountains about 8 kilometers northwest of the makeshift airstrip. U.S. aviation provided air cover by striking approaching IRGC units with multiple bombs and missiles. Meanwhile, one of the helicopters managed to pick up the pilot and transport him back to the airstrip. However, according to reports, both transport planes became stuck in the mud and couldn't take off. Eventually, 3 Bombardier Dash 8 turboprop aircraft arrived to evacuate the rescued pilot and around 100 personnel involved in the operation. The U.S. side reported that it destroyed the abandoned equipment, 2 MC-130J Commando II transport aircraft, and 4 Little Bird helicopters. Additionally, during the operation, an A-10C Thunderbolt II attack aircraft was shot down, the pilot ejected over friendly territory, along with 2 MQ-9 Reaper drones. 2 UH-60 Black Hawk helicopters were damaged but managed to return to base. Official reports did not mention any casualties. A well-planned improvisation. The scant and contradictory official information instantly gave rise to different theories. For example, some claimed that the F-15E didn't crash anywhere near Isfahan and that the entire operation was an ill-fated attempt to extract Iranian weapons-grade uranium from a local nuclear facility located about 35 kilometers from the landing zone. This theory is rather dubious. The resources required for such an operation clearly outweigh those deployed in this case. Moreover, the recovery of downed pilots is a standard, well-practiced procedure in the U.S. In 2023, during Exercise Agile Chariot, a similar scenario was simulated. The training exercises involved 2 Special Operations Forces, U.S. Air Force Combat Controllers, CCTs, and U.S. Air Force Power Rescuemen, PJs, from the 123rd Special Tactics Squadron. In Wyoming's mountainous terrain, a field airstrip was set up where an MC-130J Commando II landed, delivering MH-6 Little Bird helicopters operated by the 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment. The helicopters were unloaded and prepared for takeoff within minutes, after which PJs moved to the location of the downed pilot to rescue him. During the exercises, troops also practiced refueling MQ-9 Reaper drones and A-10 Thunderbolt II aircraft from an MC-130J Commando II in a field environment. Operation Eagle Claw Remake. Naturally, one can't help but recall the failed Operation Eagle Claw that took place in Iran on April 24, 1980. During that mission, U.S. Special Forces attempted to rescue 53 hostages taken from the U.S. Embassy in Tehran 5.5 months earlier. The plan of the operation looked similar. An American Special Forces team, supported by transport helicopters, was tasked with capturing an abandoned airfield, conducting a rescue raid, returning to the spot, and evacuating to Egypt. However, things went awry from the start. One of the 8 helicopters crashed, another turned back due to a dust storm, and the landing site was too close to a busy highway, which compromised the mission. During refueling, one helicopter collided with a tanker aircraft, resulting in a fire that claimed the lives of 8 U.S. service members. The operation was ultimately aborted, and U.S. equipment and documents were abandoned in the desert, and later fell into Iranian hands. If the raid on Isfahan last weekend targeted a nuclear facility or aimed to capture a high-ranking Iranian official, the outcome appears similar. The objectives were not achieved. Black Hawk Down remake. However, for now, we will refer to the official narrative that the goal of the operation was to extract the downed pilot. From this perspective, despite the loss of equipment, the mission's objectives were met. This situation inevitably brings to mind another chapter from American military history, the Battle of Mogadishu on October 3rd and 4th, 1993. What began as an operation to capture Somali militia leaders escalated into a fierce urban battle. As a result, 18 Americans lost their lives, around 80 were wounded, and one pilot was captured. 2 helicopters, including the famous Black Hawk Super 61, and several vehicles were lost. Formally, the operation was deemed successful, as it managed to capture and extract 24 members of the Somali resistance, including Omar Salad and Abdi Hassan Awale, ministers of the so-called independent government of General Mohammed Farah Aidid. However, this success came at a heavy price. The Battle of Mogadishu became a turning point for American policy in Somalia, leading to the decision to withdraw U.S. troops from the country. A decisive moment for Trump. The operation near Isfahan will also have far-reaching implications due to its high costs. Once again, Iran has demonstrated that it remains resilient when it comes to potential ground invasions. Firstly, the U.S. and Israeli Air Force will find it increasingly difficult to operate freely over Iran. If each downed aircraft costs the U.S. a dozen more, even the U.S. Air Force won't be able to sustain the mission for long. Secondly, the success of any large-scale special operation deep within Iranian territory now seems highly questionable. Trump faces a tough decision. He can either escalate military operations against Iran, bombing them back to the Stone Age, as he put it, and launching a comprehensive ground operation aimed at dismantling organized resistance, or, following former U.S. President Bill Clinton's example, he can scale back involvement and withdraw. The latter option will undoubtedly strengthen Iran and significantly diminish America's regional influence, and one of the lasting symbols of this defeat would be the charred remains of U.S. military jets and helicopters in Isfahan.